This week, we suffer with a bit of a bug in a rolling start. In Daily Race B, we get so racy as we go 3 wide on the start-finish straight. And in Daily Race C, it's a traffic jam. We're back at Bathurst. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gran Turismo Weekly Race Guide here in 2024, week 36, and I think Gran Turismo may have lost the plot a bit. We'll start talking about Daily Race A first of all, where it starts to unfold. So we're in go-karts at Eiger Nordwand, which is a bit weird if I do say so myself. Now, in terms of the details for this one, we're doing 5 laps. It's a grid start with a false start check, Sport soft tyres, tyres for fuel and tyre wear, and DR updates are off. You can't pick your own cart either. You've got to rent the cart only for Daily Race A. I say, it's a bit of a weird track for a go-kart, if I'm brutally honest with you, especially with the jumps and everything else in between. Now, if you don't like this Daily Race and you want to skip over the madness of Daily Race A, there are some timestamps there for you to jump to Daily Race B or Race C if you prefer those races. And we are going to look at those a little bit later on if you want to watch the video all the way through, which I would appreciate because there is some racing in here. Now, in terms of this first track, Eiger Nordwand, we've used it once before, and it's the once that everybody disliked, the Honda, even though I did like it. Sensitive steering, bumps, and grass are the weaknesses for this Daily Race A. We're going to stop talking now. We're going to jump into the race. Let's have a look at exactly what happens, because what happens is, as you imagine, as well as a bug. Here we are then at the start. Who decided to do this race then? We've got Max in P1, Cosmo in P2. Max Power starting in front of me. Hold the handbrake, which apparently this go-kart has, and let's get ready to start here then. As the red light, someone's jumped the start up ahead. But as we set off here, look at this. The car doesn't really want to go. It's like it was stuck with the clutch there. No idea what was going on in terms of the car. Seems very bugged for P9 backwards there. And there's a big crash up ahead already. Does Damian Hodgson. They're both TCR off already as we go into turn 1. We'll have a look at that one in the bloopers. Of course we will, as we fast forward now down the mountain here. We've got, who is that? I'll just call them the Italian right now. They've got a 0.5 second penalty here. Not sure where they were going to go there, so I was trying to go inside, outside. So we go through here. You do have to be careful because it may look like weaving, but also on a pad, and the way the steering is so sensitive, they're just trying to go straight. And, you know, they have to go left and right and left and right to actually go straight. So I wouldn't worry about weaving too much here. As we go to the right-hander, though, we are past Max Power. Did give me a little bit of a bump draft behind, which was appreciated. And we are up into P5. And we can see the leaders up in the distance. And as we go into the final turn here, in we go. Can we get this stopped? We can indeed. Looking to accelerate very early. Little bit of oversteer on the exit then. And we continue on to lap number 2 then. Here's the jump, which I find a bit crazy in a go-kart, if I'm brutally honest with you. As we head towards turn 1 now, you have to be careful of this braking zone. As you can see up ahead, everybody goes wide. 2 of them go off there. That's Dev. And we've also got Cosmo, who went off here. As we continue on out of here, they're going to have dirt on their tyres. So I am going to look down the inside of Cosmo into this right-hander. We do get it stopped there. Just happy days indeed. Up into P3. And we are looking like we've got a shot at the win here, which is always nice as we continue on out of there and advance towards the end of lap number 2. We're up ahead. They're fighting here into the final corner, and we're looking to catch up as well. We continue out on the exit. I did say grass is a weakness there. Max finds that grass, goes for a spin. We get the fastest lap as well, but you touch the grass here, you do go flying. You have to be so careful of that. I do apologise for the tyre temps being off here, but I'm using a different camera. Let me explain why I'm using a different camera here as well. Now, because the steering is so sensitive, I find bumper cam is just undrivable. So I go on the cockpit cam here where I can see the steering wheel and then I can judge it accordingly with my eyesight. That is literally why I'm on this camera, for those that are wondering. We continue on out of that corner then, still looking to try and get this victory then. We are very close to P1 with 2 temps up on our fastest lap here as well. And they go a bit defensive here as I look down the inside then. Can we get the job done? Oh, it wants to steer out. We're bringing it back here. Got to be careful of the steering type. We go very close to the wall then. And we get a very poor exit here. So the French driver is going to be looking down the left-hand side, looking at that radar in that bottom right here as Max Power follows suit as well. Dropping down to P3 we go then. As we go into the right hand, you got to be so careful on this one, because if you even remotely overturn the car, or cart should I say, you will go flying here. Now the French driver looking very close to Max Power, but they touch the grass. And what happens when you touch the grass? You go flying then, as we continue on through here, about to start lap number 4. But what we're going to do is jump to the end of lap number 4. Nothing really changes here. Max Power keeps the lead then as we go into the final corner. We're going to have one more lap of asking then here in the go-karts at Eiger Nordwand as we continue across line there. But look, Max Power goes on the grass and goes for a spin. Oh, Max Power, you failed there. You failed. A bit funny as well. You saw my laugh. And we do win. And we win by a mile. Happy days indeed. So that's Daily Race 8 in a nutshell. It's got a 1 out of 5 for this one because there's no penalty issues. For the rest of the race, I think it's pretty atrocious, if I'm brutally honest with you. Not a race I will be doing again this week, that is for sure. I don't think so, at least, anyway. So let's get into a actual guide here then. So as you head down towards turn 1, if you want to do this race, literally on the left hand side you have the marshal there. As you approach that, as it hits the edge of your screen there, you're going to hit the brakes and you're going to want to come down the gears very quickly. You really want to chuck the cart into this first corner, okay? See where that is on chase cam right now. So hard on the brakes. We drop to second gear. There we go. Trying to get it turned. Accelerate as early as we can. And the end of the concrete curb on the right side is your brake marker for this left-hander. You really want to brake early for this one and try and keep relatively on the inside, but you don't want to touch the grass. I know in most cars you'll want to touch the grass to rotate it on this corner. In this one, you don't, because as you saw in the race, it just pulls you off. So we get on the throttle very early here, try and straighten up the steering as best as you can as we continue on down. Once again, we're going to use the marshal on the left hand side, the marshal stand, the marshal box there, and literally as we go into this corner, I stay in third gear for this one. You can go to second, or I think I just stay in third. You can go to second, but third is better because you can get more aggressive on the exit. So that's what I would highly recommend here as we go into it. Now I do go to second, but there we go, short shift to third. Now, as we continue on out of here, then, on the left-hand side, we have the marshal there. So this is sort of your lift off. Dab the brakes if you want to. When I mean dab, I mean only brake briefly. Let the car do the work here. You want to be aggressive on the exit of this corner as well. So that's why I'm in third gear. So I just lift off a little bit. I accelerate the second I get to the apex, and off I go out that corner. Loads of times we've made on that corner as well. So just keep that in mind. Gonna head to the right-hander then. This one's a really interesting one, if I'm brutally honest with you. So the end of the concrete here is what I'm using. You can use the pit sign on the right-hand side. And the reason I've highlighted the pit sign there at the end of the concrete is because on chase cam, which we jump to right now, you can see it's very much more obvious. So the come to here, you want to really stay in the middle of the road, in my opinion. Now, you can go out wider and come back, and that arguably can be quicker. And I was a bit too tight there, in my opinion. I nearly got into the barrier on the exit there as well. It's all about maintaining speed and not overturning the car. If you overturn it, you will just lose the rear end. But you do want to be very much in the power bands. Through here, you go upshift to sixth gear if you are struggling with the cart's oversteering there. But even so, we stay in fifth there, just judging the steering as appropriate. Gonna head towards the final corner then, and literally as the concrete curb starts to venture towards the left-hand side, that is your brake marker. So I drop 2 gears for this one. Sometimes I drop to third gear occasionally, but you're going to want to upshift to 4 very quickly because the cart will oversteer, and you really chuck it into the right-hander here, okay? Notice the brake in there. So we go to third, and we literally go to 4th gear there because you're literally on the revs, the top of the limiter, and we cross line 1 minute 9.8. I don't really want to do this one again, if I'm brutally honest with you, and we are going to escape now to Daily Race B, where we're in a Nissan GTR, similar to last week, and literally a Sardinia Layout B. I need to stop saying literally, okay? I hope you're not playing a drinking game. 5 laps, rolling start, racing hard tyres, and brake balance is adjustable. So it's like the same race last week at Grand Valley Highway. Really similar settings there. And what we will do is have a look at some of the key statistics for race B. It's been used 5 times, track combo 2 times before this one. This is the 3rd time of asking. 41st around that rank anyway, at least, and it was last used in the 1st of July, this circuit. Short right is a very deadly corner. You do have to be careful of track limits as well, especially on the last corner, because you can just run a bit too wide there and get a penalty. That's it for the stats. Let's jump into the race and let's have a look exactly what happens, because we have a lot of racing. Here we are then at the start. We've got a Genesis in pole. GTRs are very easy to drive at the moment. The physics definitely has helped it. And what will help me is if you do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. So please do that now. Head down below and hit those buttons. I really do appreciate it. Here towards turn 1 then. Max Power's got a Hyundai livery on the Genesis, or Hyundai, as you say on the adverts, as we go through the left-hander. And only British will get that, because I assume you've got different adverts all over the place. Into the left we go then. I said it right down the inside there. Max Power really opened up that gap. So I was like, okay, I'll try and steal it. But Max Power was having none of it and is going to try and maintain that position as we go into the right-hander. Very hard to hang it round the outside here because of that camber. It's so beneficial on the inside. And as you can see, I lost out there. We're going to continue towards the deadly corner. The corner I warned about in the intros. Max Power got very close. And you see my reaction to that. Very close indeed to hitting that barrier as we go into the braking zone here. And it's very hard to get this one right around the outside. See there, P13 Black had to really slow up there. And we go up into P14, then finally getting a place as we go into the left-hander. And you can see a lot of cars are very close together. So I do expect some very good racing here this week, if I'm honest. I really do. I think it's a really nice combo for Group 4. Of course, Group 4, well, I'll get back onto that in a second. Nico's just ran wide, so I expected dirt on their tyres. We've got smoke up ahead. Lots of little clashes going on here. So we gain another spot then. We continue on out that corner. Shelty's over on the left-hand side, getting the slipstream. We're 3 wide down the start-finish straight here. Max Power's gaining positions left, right, and centre as we head towards turn 1. I had no idea where to go at this moment in time. I really didn't. So what I'm actually going to do is try and back out of this a little bit. Only a little bit, because I have no idea where I want to go. I assumed carnage was going to happen, but do you know what? Fair play to every single person in that battle, because nobody died. Nobody actually died. And I don't say that too often in dailies when that sort of thing happens, but here you have it. You have the visible evidence there that nobody actually died. Fortunately, though, on the next corner, Max Power does die there. I think there's a tag on Richard, and Max Power did apologise that from memory. Robomags went a bit deep as well. Going to be on my inside here. Robomags does play on VR then as we go into the right-hander. Again, very hard to really keep it on the outside. Robomags gave me space as well. I appreciate that, but keeps the position now in that GTR. Really does indeed. But yeah, cracking racing here this week. It really is. As we head down in towards the right-hander then, going to slow it up there. Chelsea sends it down the inside. Going to leave a little bit of space here. But Robomags there goes a bit too deep, so sort of having to maintain gaps on the inside and outside. And we're up into P8 then. Through the left we go and continuing on out of here. But do expect some exciting racing. The GTR, the new physics, has definitely improved the GTR, okay? And I've always said it's something to do with weight. And I'm not going to wait for them as they go spinning off into the barrier. That was a bit painful for them. There's weight's definitely been forcing more into the ground, I've found, which is why some weight transfer has been reduced in some cars, in my opinion. And this is going to help the GTR a lot because it's very heavy, this car. So if you can force it down rather than left and right, it's going to help. Down the inside of Richard we go there. They left a, well, GTR-sized gap on the inside. Oh, hello. We've got a Norwegian driver off there. That was, well, Greenland. Was that Dane? That was the Denmark flag, sorry. Oh, part of Greenland, of course they are. Right, we're going to head towards the right-hander. I apologise for mispronouncing a country there as we go into the right-hander, and we leave lots of space on the outside. I know how easy it is to understeer off or into somebody else there. I left plenty of space there for Richard. Unfortunately, Richard went off, leaving me loads of space on the inside. Chelsea got to move down the inside in towards turn 1, lap number 4. Not going to make it happen there in that Scirocco. It's very quick in a straight line, though, that Scirocco. Nice to see a different car being used. We head towards the final lap then. We've got Pad Pops up ahead in the, well, I'm in the Padawan car, the Art of Performance. Right, okay, here we go. So we're going to go try around the outside here then as we head towards turn number 1. I see we've got well ahead of them here, but the Genesis sent it down inside. I thought they were going to go deep here, so I left it open. But you know what? That is a beautifully defended move there. It really is. I did go for the cutback here, but it's not going to quite work as we go into this left-hander. We've run very close here. I'm trying not to unsteer into them, so I have to lift off a little bit more there. Beautiful racing there with Pops. Really was. I was surprised you made turn 1. I really was surprised. So, yeah, just beautiful stuff. Really was. Right, we're going to continue on out of here then. And they're defending this very nicely. Nowhere for me to go then. In towards the right we go. And we've got a chance of maybe a podium if we can make it work. We'll see what happens here as we head towards the deadly right-hander then. As I say, and I said it in the start, in the intro of this race, this corner, very hard to get right, very easy to get wrong, and very easy for, well, crashes to happen here just because of the way it is. Through the right we go, and what I was talking about earlier, and I forgot to mention it, I was one of the first people in the world to try this track when it first came to GT Sport. If you remember, I do talk about it every time we are here. I was at the live event when it was introduced, and yeah, it suits me very nicely, this track. It really does. Continuing out there, then the NSX had a bit of an issue on the final corner. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to overtake Papa, but Pops did. Lots of Papa and Paps going on here, but we come home in the infamous P6 there. Now, in terms of this race, I've given it a 3 out of 5. So, start type, it's a rolling start, but it's okay-ish. Car and tyre choice, 0.5 as well. You can have some good racing here. There are no penalty issues, in my opinion, here. Yes, there are penalties, but there's no penalty issues. But the race time, it's a bit too short, in my opinion. Right, you saw the brake balance down the bottom right-hand side there, just briefly. Just rewind it 5 seconds if you're unsure. But as we head towards turn number 1 here, the 100 board or the gap in the barrier is your brake marker for turn 1. I want you to use as much of the outside of this circuit as possible now as you come into here. The more you open up this corner, the better you will do this corner. But you want to keep it nice and tight when you come in here and accelerate very early. Really open up the corner, carry the speed through the corner, and you will gain a lot there. Now, as you go through this right-hander, you're going to go into this long left-hander. Now, you've got a windmill. You see the pole there on the left-hand side. It's massive. And we've got a massive pole there. Right, okay. So, as that leaves the screen, then starts turning. You need to delay your turn in. If you turn in before you get to that windmill, you're going to understeer way off. But notice here, I'm going to go through this corner. I don't lift at all, and I make it absolutely fine. If you turn in too early, you will have to lift. And that's what I'm trying to explain there. As we head towards this left-hander, though, there's normally an ambulance in the race. That's an extra brake marker that you can use in the race, but in qualifying, it's not there. Use the red painted barrier as your brake marker. You can use the end of the barrier. That's why I highlighted it in a larger area there. But I use the red painted barrier. I come into here. I want to keep it nice and tight. And what I'm looking for here is where the red and white barrier stops and the grey wall starts. Really good acceleration marker there for you, okay? So when you see that, start to accelerate through the corner and you should be able to make it round. Now, you may want to short shift to third potentially in the GTR just to avoid a little bit of understeer, but I stay in second there and it makes the corner absolutely fine. You're going to head towards the right-hander then, and on the left-hand side, the red and white barrier starts again just after the Armco, and that is your brake marker for this right-hander. This corner is cambered. So it does mean you want to get on the inside as much as possible, because if you stay on the outside, you don't use the camber as much, so you can't carry as much speed as being on the inside. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And what I'm looking for is the windmill there, that windmill. So all these windmills are really good markers. That is my acceleration marker for this corner. You can also use the dip of the corner if you want to. I used to use that, but now I can focus on that windmill. I'm like, haha, the windmill is there. I can start accelerating. Make sure you're on the inside on the exit. Very easy to understeer out, so you do have to be careful of that as we now head down here. Be careful of understeer, going towards the right-hand side and hitting the barrier. Quite a common crash to happen as we head towards the deadly right-hander. So what you can use here is on the right side, the dark grey into Armco. Very obvious, very easy brake marker here in the GTR. You can use the windmill on the left as well if you really want to, or you can try and judge it based on the curb in the distance. However, the easy marker there is the grey into Armco, and that's what I'm using right here. As we come into here, again, using all of the circuit, get it nice and tight here. Start accelerating early. You may clip the gravel on the exit, but aim for the exit curb there to maximize your speed through the corner. If you try and take it too slow and too tight, you're just going to be slow up the hill. You need to maintain all the speed that you can. On the right side there, to start the red and white tyre barrier is your brake marker for this left-hander. Staying third gear in the GTR. Other gears may vary in other cars, of course. But as you come into here, you want to just clip and nip the curb there and then bolt through this corner. A little bit cambered there for you to help you round. Now, the end of the curb and the marshal box here. So in between these is when you start turning left. Now, you are going to have to lift a tiny bit mid-corner in a lot of cars. Some of them can do it flat, especially some of the MR cars, but you're going to have to just judge that on the car you want to use. In the GTR, a little lift is required. It's just after the curb there. And notice there, the little lift there, and we continue on through. Happy days indeed. The final corner then, on the right side, we've got this gap in the wall. So it goes wall, gap, wall. And now you can use either the start of it or the end of it that I've highlighted there, both those squares. Up to you what you use here. Now, with this corner, it's a really interesting corner. If you cut it too much on the inside, it'll bounce you off and give you a shortcut penalty. So you want to just nip at it there and then straighten up as best as you can. Just avoid track limits on the exit because it's a pain in the backside, those track limits. We're going to head towards the line then. That's a 125.3. Do expect 124s on this one. But that is it for Daily Race B. We'll jump to Daily Race C. I'm in that BMW M6 Endurance Model GT3 car. Yes, that car always does very well here at Bathurst. The question is, what are we doing here at Bathurst? Because we've already done Group 3 Bathurst very recently. But we've got 10 laps here. It's a rolling start, racing soft and medium tyres. Both are required. ×2 fuel, ×4 tyre wear, and brake balance is adjustable. So the only difference really here is that we can use soft tyres and the tyre wear is reduced by ×1 from ×5 to ×4 from the past. It's been used 8 times, Track and Car Combo 6 times. This is the 7th time of asking. It's overused, this Gran Turismo. It really is 5th in the ranking, around about there now. It jumps up into the 3rd now. Last week, 29th of July. What's that all about? Obviously, you got to avoid the traffic jams here. As I was moaning there, you missed some of the bits at the bottom. So traffic jams and the dipper is, of course, a big weakness in a lot of cars, especially MR. Let's jump into this race then. Let's have a look exactly what happens and let's try out some strategy. Here we are then at the start. We've got McLaren in pole, a Porsche in P2, and then some BMWs, which is what I chose there. And make sure you choose to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're this far in the video. I appreciate it and I know you like it, so make sure you hit those buttons down below. Womble there, giving up a position, so wanting to go to the back, maybe wanting to have a look at some strategy. I'm not too sure. Or maybe just wants to go up the mountain at the back and see what it's like. I'm not too sure with that one. Anyway, we're going to head in towards this right-hander. And this is where the action all kicks off. We've already got smoke in the distance then There's been a big old crash there. Captain Slow going slow. Mr. Slowly, as they call him in Italy, as we go into the left-hander then. Chelsea's got a 2-second penalty. We've got a Ford GT in here. Supra. Well, in fact, there's 2 Supras. And there's a bit of contact between them there as well. Oh, it's all getting tight. And this is what I talk about with traffic at Bathurst. This is really slowing me up now. I can't really get past at the moment. As the Ford GT goes into the barrier, we really try and get past them there. We nail it beautifully, to be honest. Very opportunistic overtake from myself as we start to go down the mountain here for the first time of asking. So 10 laps. You know, this race, you are going to have to think about when to pit and, you know, who you're racing against, really. You may find come up against somebody who's very quick up ahead, so you don't have to pit. If you come up against anybody who is slower than you and you feel you're much faster, it's going to cost you time on the mountain, and you really have to think about that. We've started to spread out a little bit here now then, as the field just get used to the car and obviously soft and medium tyres, because a lot of people will practice on the soft tyres and forget that the medium tyres are in use, which are more slippy. They'll suffer with more understeer. The braking distances are later, and you can see 2 people had penalties there, and we've up into P9 then as we go into the final corner here. As we go through here, Metal 8 Racer off into the barrier. We'll have got the bloopers in that one, but my guess is medium tyres, very slippy last corner, goes off into the barrier. That's a guess. We'll see if I'm right. Oh, mud cars, all sorts of sideways through turn 1. I think that may be clipping the grass. We're looking to see if this BMW size gap works. Yes, it does, as we head towards the next corner. Problem with the Supra, though, is it's very quick in a straight line. The more we get towards the top end, it starts to pull away, but I didn't really want to give this up here. So I'm still alongside here. I'm going to try and go for this, and we do get it done. Now, mod cars will know the outside of that corner is not that grippy, and you do end up understeering off most of the time. So that's actually a really smart play by the mod cars driver behind, who goes into the barrier, which is not as smart, but I've done that many times, so I can understand it here. We get to the top of the mountain and start to head down. We've got Hodgson up ahead in a Ford GT. As you can see, they're losing the rear end. MR cars just suffer going downhill. They really do. Now, do we get the run on Hodgson? That is the question we do. We're looking down the inside here. This is quite a dangerous move. Hodgson nails the defense, so they're beautiful stuff as we go into the left-hander. Oh, clips the barrier then. We're going to have a good run out this corner, and it's going to be another drag race then. BMW versus Ford GT. Now, I did beat the meta fairly recently, because remember, this track was only used 1 month ago in that Ford GT, and that car is very quick in a straight line. Hodgson, though, gives me a bump draft. Thumbs up from me, a big thank you, and I head over towards the left hand side to give Hodgson a bit more slipstream to make sure they don't lose the place. As we go into the braking zone, though, I have to brake extremely early here. I was carrying so much speed, 181 miles an hour into there. I broke early, but I needed to go even more early to make that work. A lap later, we catch up to the next pack, and at this point, I caught them so quickly, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to pit lap 3 pit on the medium tyres. We'll see if this works out then. So we come in, we're going to put the soft tyre on because we have to use both tyre compounds, and we're going to head out of the pits, and here we go. And we are not in traffic, which is good news. Mod cars follow being behind, so we can sort of see the same strategy playing out here. We advance a bit further on into lap 4 here then, and unfortunately, hiding a bush has been hiding in the gravel as they're very slow coming back on circuit, and we are now up into P10. I don't want to hit any traffic. That's my problem here. I do not want to touch traffic. I just want to continue on. Now, Max Power's just come in the pits there and is coming out. So, unfortunately, my undercut hasn't worked here in terms of getting past Max Power. I have, however, gained 2 seconds on the leaders right now, and that gap continues to fall. As you can see now, 22.4, so getting another half second in a quarter of a lap. Zardos, called them a Pokemon then, literally hitting the barrier there, and this is what you don't want on the mountain. I've got fresh soft tires. I want to get past. Unfortunately, I can't get past right now, and they are slowing me up with also a clip of the barrier there, which is not going to help me in any stretch of the imagination. And purple, even with the hold up here as we go down into the dipper, you don't want to be behind an MR car either, as they really do struggle through there. So you can see the time I'm losing here right now. The time I should be gaining on P1, and I'm actually losing time. So we're going to the left-hander here, and I'm looking to get the boost out of here that I need to get alongside and get past this Ford GT. Now, part of me was hoping that they would give this up a little bit, maybe, knowing that I'm on a different strategy, knowing I've already pit. You know, it's not favorable for them to race, or me, to be honest with you. I just need to get past and go. But even so, they're going to fight it. They're allowed to fight it. It's just my opinion that I really think they should have given this up. But even so, we're going to head into the braking zone. Then they defend it nicely as we go into the left-hander. And we're looking to get the move done here on the exit. You can see the grip difference there. Just had all the grip, and we are finally past them then. And they're actually going to stay out as well. So they did lose a bit of time. I lost a bit of time there as well. We'll see what happens in terms of the leaders here as we continue on to lap number 6. So most people will pit on lap 5, but we are going to see if lap 3 can work in this BMW. And it's car dependent, of course, you know. As we continue through turn 1, and the French driver comes out the pits. P13 Black comes from the grass. No idea why they were over there then. And we overtake who was the leader here. And this was P2. So we're actually gaining a lot of time here. Max Power effectively in the lead in the distance. And Shelty's separating us two here as we go into the right-hander. And we are up into effectively P6. Arguably a net P2 once all said and done as we start to head down the mountain here. Once again, we are purple as we go down the mountain. But in the distance, Shelty's into the barrier, struggling through the dipper. And if we have to slow up there, really take a sharper line. And that's going to cost us a faster slap again. But later on, we do get a faster slap here. We start heading down the mountain. In towards the right we go. We're looking at the distance from Max Power, who's in the lead there. And in the barrier as well. The MR cars do struggle down here. It's still a weakness. Not as much of a weakness, but it still exists as we go into the left-hander. So a 1 second gap towards Max Power. That's all it is. Can we do it? Unfortunately, I'm going to say now, we don't do it here. You can see the tyres are starting to wear on the final lap. Lap 3 was a risky strat. It worked out, but lap 4 was arguably better in the BMW. So we're going to head towards the line, crossing P2. Big congrats there to Max Power. Really well played with that race victory, especially in a Lamborghini. Really awesome to see. And in terms of the scores, I've given this a 4 out of 10. It's not the greatest. Car and tyre choice, I actually do like, to be honest with you. There is some good strategy in there. Racing, not so much due to the traffic jams, and race length could be better. And we do double that, so it would be 2 out of 5, but it's 4 out of 10. So turn 1 on the left-hand side there, we have the end of the building. That is your brake marker for turn 1, okay? You're on the soft tyres as well, so you're braking a bit later than last time in terms of the track guide, and that's why I've done a soft guide here for you as well. As you go through here, just be careful on exit. It will start to bounce around a little bit due to the bumps. Just be a little bit careful with that oversteer as we head towards the end of sector 1. And that is easy sector to really get you settled into that first year. And what is that? It's 0.7. There's probably a 0.6 sector 1 there, if I'm brutally honest with you. Now, as we go into this right-hander, you've got the end of the barrier on the left-hand side or the end of the tarmac, which I've highlighted there as well on the left-hand side. You actually want to brake it the later of the two in the BMW, mainly because of the soft tyres. They are so grippy in this car. Now, I am going to drop to 3rd gear here, and remember to maintain a tight line. If you go remotely towards the outside, you are going to suffer some understeer. On exit, you will suffer some oversteer in some cars. Be careful. As we go to this left-hander, we're going to lift a little bit, and then we're going to go hard on the brakes when that line goes straight. So I've highlighted it there. I'm just about to go hard on the brakes. If I brake any later than this, I'm into the barrier on the right-hand side. So you really do have to manage this braking zone as best as you can. If you feel you've just hit the brakes too late, brake a bit earlier. You can see how straight the line goes there. That is what I use. Early on the throttle, be careful on the exit. Power oversteer can happen because the car does get light with the change in elevation. As we continue uphill here on the left-hand side or the right, use the tree. They're your turning markers for this one. You can do this flat, 100% flat. A lot of the time, you will lift a little bit just because you get a bit scared that you are going to understeer into a barrier. Now, I can't remember if I lift a little bit here. See, look, I got scared, and I didn't need to be as I continue on. So I go into 5th gear before the dip here. In towards the left we go. Be careful of the bump on that curb. And as we get towards the top here, you've got the curb there. You want to lift off before you get to it. That settles the weight in the car. Remember, if you're accelerating, the front is lifted up. If you lift off and you're then not doing anything in the car, the weight will settle over the front, 50-50 weight distribution, or whatever the car is, and it should settle itself over the crest. Then start to accelerate and continue towards the downhill section. Now, the dangerous section. So you're aiming for the middle bottom square there. That's where you're aiming for. That's where you start braking. On the right side, I use the building. You can try and use the Audi R8 sign, but the building is the better one here. Only brake in a straight line as you go down here. Don't brake and turn. So we are going to brake a straight line, lift. Brake in a straight line, and that is it. So then we lift. We get over towards the right-hand side. The end of the curb there is a dab of the brakes and chuck it left. I normally upshift here as well. It just settles the car on exit. If you're in a lower gear, you'll hit the throttle. You'll get really high in the power band, really high in the revs, and you'll spin your wheels. So an early upshift here really does benefit you about first. Notice there, happy days, controllable. We continue on. On the right side, we've got the black into white wall there. That is your brake marker for this one. Your initial brake marker anyway. So you're going to hit the brakes, turn in. Now, you may end up sometimes clipping the barrier on the right side. Just try and avoid doing that. You'll get practice and you'll learn it. Honestly, it's one of those habits that does break. As we get over towards the right side, brake in a straight line once again down the hill. We lift, let the car roll, and then start to accelerate. If I'd gotten the power a bit earlier, I probably would have had a faster lap there, and I would have made it absolutely fine. We'll just fast forward a little bit here towards the chase, and through the right we go. And what we're looking for on the right side is the 150 board or the V in sign event. Or, I'll go old school here, Signavant. So yes, in between those is absolutely fine. If you've got slipstream in the race, obviously you're going to have to brake a bit earlier, as I did. So I broke before the 150 when I was hitting 180. So just keep that in mind in terms of the brakes. Better to brake early here, clip the curb on the inside, and then accelerate early. If you go too deep, you're going to overturn the car and get power oversteer on exit. Heading towards the final corner then. What we're looking for is on the right-hand side, the big old tree there. That is your brake marker for this final corner. Just as that leaves the screen, hit the brakes and just be prepared for a bit of bumpiness in the middle of the corner on this one. You can see the tree there, very obvious on the external camera as well. So that's what we're going to do. Hit the brakes, drop to second gear, we turn it in, just be careful on exit. Notice there I wasn't 100% throttle through the corner because of the bumps. We head towards line and a 59.9. 58 is definitely possible and do expect to see those. We're going to go into the bloopers now. So here's Hodgson then. So Hodgson and Jamie came together. Oh, the Italian got it wrong. And then, oh, yeah. Big old crash there because of how the carts work, really, with the sensitive steering. We've got on board Dev. This is lap number 2. So everyone goes into here and goes way too deep. And you can see Cosmo on the grass. Dev tries to avoid the grass as much as possible. I go and take advantage. So Max goes in deep into the final corner, comes back round, going to clip the grass and goes for a spin. You can see how slippy the grass is here in the karts. We go an easy spin, and we know they spin as well, so through the left we go, and they're very close to Max Power here. So did they just get it wrong here? Yes, they do. They clip the grass, and once again, they end up in the barrier there. And finally, Max Power does the same thing. Going to go defensive here, clips the grass, and then just rubs the barrier, and you can't control it when you're on the grass and goes for a spin. It's very hard to stop as well as you're going downhill, as you can see from Max Power. Daily Race B then. The Dane. In towards the right we go. Naduk. And continues on out. Clips the gravel. And there's a car behind, in front, sorry. Clips them and they go for a spin. So they were from Greenland, I believe, which is Danish territory. Right, as we go into this right-hander, this is lap 4. And you see Pops there, goes for a move, not really on into that right-hander, very hard to overtake. So I'd argue that wasn't the cleanest move in the world. So Pops goes defensive in towards the left. And then, I mean, that's not even clean either, to be honest with you. Yeah, not sure what was going on, but that explains why Pops ended up very close to me. So Captain Slow, Mr. Slowly, what happened to you then? Oh, just a bit of wheel spin on exit. Hodgson had nowhere to go, hits you. And yeah, that unfortunately sends you around. So what happened to Shelty in all of this then? You can see the crash there. And everybody's just crashing into each other. Unfortunately, Shelty goes into Love Spain. Unfortunately, it's going to be Love Pain right now as they get a 1 second. And Shelty gets a 2 second one there. Max Power avoids all the carnage just there. And as we go up here, what happens in towards this right-hander? Tap from the 4GT then, and that forces a bit of oversteer for Shelty, and Shelty's going to get a bump draft behind from the other Supra here, which forces them into the 4GT, so it all just goes a bit messy there, if I'm brutally honest with you. That's not on Shelty in my opinion. We're going to jump to the end of lap 1. This is Metal Ape Racer, so they're on the soft tyres, so I was wrong with the mediums. They just get all sorts of wheel spin and go for a spin, so cold tyres potentially there. They have traction controller on as well. We jumped to lap number 4. This was Hide in a Bush, otherwise known as Mr. Transporter. I'm not sure. Is this Jason Statham? No idea. Anyway, through the left we go and into the gravel. Yeah, it just slows you up massively, does that gravel. And you're going to see me going by. Oh, wait, no, we're not. So P13 Black comes out of the pits. The car is turning right. Then the AI turns hard left. That's so unfair on P13 Black. That really is. I mean, the AI did that. That's very unfortunate. If you enjoyed this video though, do give it a like and do subscribe to the channel. That is it for the bloopers this week. 2 videos there to check out, and the partners that you can see on screen you can check out below with codes and links for discounts and all sorts there, and I appreciate using those because it does support the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.